Eamon, this seems like a foregone conclusion at this point. It's not going to happen in this Congress.
Yeah, that's right, Becky. I mean, the roadblock is named Mitch McConnell. He stopped that bill from moving to the floor. The Democrats wanted to move the $2,000 stimulus check bill to the floor clean, which means with no extraneous material attached to it and all of that. It passed the House overwhelmingly, so they thought maybe they'd have a chance. McConnell said no yesterday, even though Donald Trump has been out there tweeting aggressively saying he wants to see these $2,000 stimulus checks in the hands of Americans. His purported ally, Mitch McConnell, saying no in the Senate. McConnell saying he doesn't see any realistic path for that bill to make it to the floor. Of course, he is the realistic path, right? If he decided to do it, he could do it, but he says it's not going to happen. And what McConnell is doing is packaging that bill together with two other things that the president wants but that Democrats hate, which make those things poison pills and make this package a non-starter. What he wants to do is package it with a change in the law for Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. That's that piece of legislation that protects tech companies from liability, from things that users post on the internet. You remove that, you kind of change social media entirely, the entire business model of it. He also wants to add an election commission to review issues of election fairness. That's something Democrats say they can't get behind simply because, it has to do with an election in which they say there was no unfairness, there were no irregularities. Here's Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor yesterday explaining why he's doing this.
The Senate is not going to split apart the three issues that President Trump linked together just because Democrats are afraid to address two of them. The Senate's not going to be bullied into rushing out more borrowed money into the hands of Democrat rich friends who don't need the help.
So with that, guys, you can say pretty surely that the idea of $2,000 checks, as you were saying, Becky, this Congress is dead. A big open question is, what might happen next Congress once Joe Biden gets sworn in as president of the United States.
Hey, Eamon, we had Senator Pat Toomey on yesterday, a Republican from Pennsylvania. He's been on the record saying that he's not in favor of increasing the checks to $2,000. I think there are something like 47 Republican senators who feel that way about it. They don't want the money, as he explained it, going to people who haven't lost any income and maybe are making families that are making over $100,000 haven't lost any income. They don't want the money going out to those people. The way he explained it is you got to get 60 votes, and that's basically you got to get 60 votes for just about anything because that's the only way you can do it without the filibuster kicking in, which brings you back to that question of what happens to the filibuster next year. Is it always going to be an issue that the Democrats are kind of bringing up again for reasons like this?
Yeah, look, you hear a lot of that on the left. A lot of people say the Senate is simply a broken institution because of this 60-vote threshold. In the old days, we didn't have filibusters on everything. Some things were allowed to simply pass through the Senate on a normal vote. But now, in this partisan era, senators are using that filibuster to make sure that they have to get over that higher hurdle. And that means very few things are getting through the Senate these days. It's going to be interesting to see what Joe Biden says about that. He's a creature of the Senate. He spent so many decades there himself. He knows so many of the people who are there. On the other hand, he's going to be president of the United States. He's going to want to get something done. Senators value the filibuster because it gives them an enormous amount of power individually. It's something that House members just don't have. And that's why senators are important figures in Washington, D.C. If you get rid of that, it becomes more of a rubber stamp kind of institution. It becomes more of an institution that's run by leadership. That's not necessarily that appealing to individual senators. But Biden, he could put his finger on the scale there and tell Democrats what he wants to do. We'll see what happens. I mean, it all depends on this Georgia race next week. And of course, those two Republican senators have said they do want to see these $2,000 stimulus checks, and they're not going to see them. So that puts them at odds with their own leadership, but allies with the President of the United States.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.